Hello everybody, and a very warm welcome to a slightly different video today. I'm here with Bradley.
Hello.
This is Brad. And we're going to be telling you all about our online master's program at Thinkspace Education, because we've been doing this now for 10 years and we have hundreds of students all over the shop, and what we do we think is really different to what everybody else offers. And it really, actually you're a graduate, aren't you?
I am a graduate, yeah.
Brad is my assistant. he works on a lot of the television and film stuff we do. He's a music editor. He also looks as course producer. He's producing new material for the master's degrees. But you're also a graduate of the master's program yourself.
10 years ago I started professional media composition.
There you go.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. That's the first time I've said that out loud in a while. But yeah, professional media composition was my course of choice. We were that was when we just started, I think. That was the first year we started doing the courses. We've come a long way since then.
We certainly have. What we're going to be doing, therefore, let me give you a little overview of what we're going to be doing. We'll give you an introduction to Thinkspace, so you've got the bits you don't necessarily see if you just follow us on the YouTube channel. We'll be going through our master's degrees, explaining what they all cover, so you can see if any one of them lights your fire.
Yep.
We'll be looking at who teaches, all our amazing teaching staff, looking at the questions you've probably got about studying online, particularly something on this kind of scale of doing a master's degree. We'll be looking at our students, their amazing commercial success they've had. And then we'll get down to the nitty-gritty of how much it costs, how the money works, time requirements, entry requirements, all those kind of things. Okay? So feel free to, ask questions in the comments, and I will do my level best to get back to you. Yeah. Right. Who is this Thinkspace lot?
What is Thinkspace?
What is Thinkspace? I started teaching online in the 90s, before there was such a thing as online. Now we are a specialist online graduate school. We have 300 students in 53 countries. The students are taught by working professional creatives. So we've got over 90 now who are a part of our network. So some of them will just sort of come and go, and then they'll go off for 2 or 3 months to do a commercial project. But you're taught by people who are absolutely doing this every day for
their livelihood. Yeah.
It is, which makes a huge difference to the relevance of what you're learning. You get if you successfully graduate, which overwhelming majority of our students do, you get a normal UK university postgraduate degree, a master's degree, either an MA or an MFA. You get regular one-to-one tuition. So if you're on a full-time schedule, you get 1 half-hour session a week with any one of the one-to-one tutors. So you can hook up with these people who are doing exactly what you want to do.
And they don't have to be related to your course either. So if you wanted to branch out and talk to people about other things.
If you're on a film and television course and you want to talk to somebody about games, or you're interested in audio post-production or sound design, you go for it.
Whatever fits you both.
Exactly. You also get lifetime access to all our course materials on all the master's programs and all the short courses. It's just mind-blowing.
All the education you could possibly want.
Exactly. So all the alums get access to all the new materials as well. So there's so much stuff there to keep you informed and update your skills in the years after you graduate. Speaking of after you graduate, our award-winning employment support program is designed to help you into work. It's a free boot camp which comes 6 months after you graduate. So when you're actually out there fighting the good fight, trying to get into the industry, boot camp comes along to give you, support, encouragement, and knowledge so that you can actually do that more effectively. We have very flexible schedules. You can change schedule each term. So if you start full time and it's too much, you can go to sort of part time on term 2, etc. So because we understand life gets in the way.
Does ever.
Yeah. And if you're fortunate enough to be eligible and living in the UK, you can qualify for a UK government postgraduate loan. But for everybody else, there are payment plans, so you pay as you learn, essentially. Now, let's get into where your degree actually comes from.
Yeah.
We are partnered with a wonderful university called the Arts University Bournemouth. It's home to the Bournemouth Film School, which is the largest UK film school outside London. So they understand creative industries through and through. So they award the master's degree and we have a validation agreement with them. So we work very closely with them. Our students work on their graduation films and things like that. So it's really, really great partnership. Relatively new to us. It's only in its second or third year now. But they're incredibly supportive and really helped us, deliver the best possible quality of course to you.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah. Right. Brad, we seem to, we started in that top left corner just doing film and television composition. What else do we do now?
So as well as doing film and television composition, that also covers orchestration as well for different types of orchestras, different sizes of orchestras. We now do game scoring and sound design. So if you want to specialise in whether that's indie, AA, AAA games, and the sound design or scoring for that, that's sort of going to be your area of interest. And that covers things like middleware and like game implementation as well for both composers and sound designers. We have music production, which is if you're a budding artist or producer or lyric writer or just you're interested in that area of the industry, that's going to be where you want to go. And our newest endeavour is audio post-production, which we launched in September this year. And that covers literally everything to do with the film industry from the audio post perspective. So that's dialogue, sound design, spot effects, mixing, ADR, and everything else in between. And what is involved in getting it from that sort of wrapping on the shoot day to getting in the cinemas.
Right. Yeah. Perfect. Good. Let's look at those areas in a bit more detail. For film and television composition, we've got two main master's courses, MA Professional Media Composition, which Brad did, and Orchestration for Film, Games and Television. And we also run a whole load of MFAs, which are longer courses which combine two subject areas together. So if you can't make your mind up between professional media composition and orchestration for film, games, and television, you can do the MFA, which combines the two. Yep. Now, professional media composition is designed to prepare you to work in the media, not specifically film. An awful lot of courses will just focus on film, and that's not where most people earn a living.
It's not where you cut your teeth either.
No, I mean, a lot of people will start out in short films and things like that, but what we're trying to do is to give you, exposure to a whole load of different areas, trailers, there's a little bit of video game in it, documentaries, commercials, animation, library, all kinds of things. Also, professional media composition does not expect you to be an orchestral composer because, if you just turn on the telly or if you go on to Netflix, blah, 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 the majority of the music you hear will not be just straight film orchestral music. So if you're an electronic musician, a guitarist, whatever else, if you write great music, which has potential in the media, professional media composition is for you. On the other hand, orchestration for film, games, and television, the clue is in the name. It's all about writing for orchestra, but it's both about how you produce amazing sample mock-ups. It's about composition. It's about the whole journey from the MIDI mock-up right the way through to the live orchestral recording, because there's a lot to know about part preparation, about how you work with Pro Tools, about how you manage sessions, things like that.
And that's not to say that you can't also do electronic music within that course as well. You can, of course, still write hybrid compositions that use orchestral and electronic elements. But the extra added element to this course would be that you're required to score them.
So whereas there's no music theory barrier to entry for professional media composition, you do need music theory for orchestration. We need to be able to see a score before you start, so that you're not, this isn't your first rodeo, so that you are, so you've got the tools and everything to be able to get into this. But it's about using the orchestra to tell stories. It's about develop all these courses about developing your own voice, because there's never been more important time in the media to focus on becoming something which is really distinctive, somebody with a signature sound of their own. And that applies just as much to sound design and film, and things like that as it does to music. But if you don't sound different, then you're going to struggle, and that's what we're here to help you develop. Game music and sound design. tell us a little bit about this, Bradley.
So while professional media composition obviously focuses on all aspects of media composition, and it does touch on games a little bit as well, this is a far more comprehensive look at what it takes to write music for games. There's a different workflow involved. For those of you who are interested and know about it, there's obviously lots of things to do with loops and different layers and all those sorts of things. So you've also then got to work out how they work with middleware. Like, not all composers will be expected to learn that, but by learning those extra skills, it makes you a far more employable person, because then you can, you also know how to write compassionately for developers and things like that who will only appreciate that kind of forethought.
You have to understand, even if you're not going to end up doing the implementation yourself in the game, you've got to understand how it's done.
Oh, yeah.
Or you're not going to be able to work effectively as part
Otherwise,
of...
it'll be rounds and rounds and rounds of notes.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So there's going to be lots of that. There's also writing for cutscenes and things of the like as well. But it is sort of PMC with some tech side and just 100% focus on games and those sorts of things. Sound design, as you might expect, is the sound design for video games. So it was one of our first branching out from composition courses.
Yeah.
And it's, I think, fair to say, one of our most successful courses to date, just because there's so many games out there that require sound, and the sound elements of every game is really what sells either the realism or just the sound world to immerse players in whatever it is the game is supposed to be conveying. And so sound design focuses on predominantly middleware and like track lay.
Yep.
So you'll be doing that to linear pieces of, or cutscenes really.
Yeah.
And then also how to use things like Wise and Fmod and Unreal Engine.
And Unity.
Unity, yeah.
And you'll be working inside custom games, which we've had built. So it is a realistic experience, like working on an indie game development team.
And again, you're taught by people who have worked on, AAA video games, who really know sort of the workflow and what it takes.
The reason we ended up with the sound design was that when we first started talking to composers, it became very clear that lots of them did sound design as well. Yeah. For two reasons. Because if they're working on a smaller project, they're going to do the whole audio. Yeah. So whereas there might not be enough budget for a composer, or there might not be enough budget for a sound designer, if you put the two together, there is. But also because there's real employment opportunities for sound designers, probably more sort of normal jobs for sound designers than composers. Yeah, like and a lot of people like you, because you're still here 10 minutes in, so are interested in this because you're looking for a career. So when you look at things like sound design, you're using all the things you already know as a composer, your ability with digital audio, your ability to tell stories with sound as well as with music. It's just that there may be one composer on a game and 3 or 4 sound designers. So there's big opportunities, and for longer contracts and things like that. So sound design is there as a real career opportunity for people with your kind of experience. And
in games as well, sound designers who have a grounding in musical composition, that makes you more. That's why our MFA is also so popular, because if you have to edit music that a composer's delivered, and you understand how it's written, the layers that go into it, time signatures, all those sorts of things, then again, it's going to make you more employable and more valuable to whatever projects it is you're working on.
And as Brad says, there's an MFA which combines composition and sound design.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Creative music production is all about, again, it says it on the tin, but it is for a wide range of songwriters, electronic music producers, whatever style of music you write. If you're aiming for commercial release, or you just want to write music as well as you possibly can, something which you can really be proud of and look back at and go, I wrote a wonderful song. This is the thing. I mean, I used to work in television as a journalist, and you're only ever as good as your last film or your last broadcast or whatever. Whereas if I have one good day writing a great piece of music, I can listen to that 10, 20 years on, and it's still a great piece of music.
Yeah, yeah.
And
I think if you're a composer out there and you're on the fence about what course to do, I often find randomly throughout the year, I'm like, oh, that's a good idea for a song. Like I mostly write orchestral, like non-lyric based pieces of music, but sometimes you get an idea for a song and you just go, oh, I wish I had the ability to kind of like really fill that out into something and realize that. Yeah. And this is what this is what the course will do.
Yeah. So you'll learn all about music production. You'll learn about the elements of actually how you go about writing a piece of music. There's lots and lots of opportunities to specialize. anything from electronic music, music for worship, all kinds of things like that. And you're taught by phenomenal people. Again, not people who wanted to do this, it's people who do this. I mean, Ella is, who's the main team leader on creative music production, has 30 million streams on Spotify.
Yeah.
I mean, it's...
Do better.
Yeah, exactly. So Chris Rockall, who's an amazing label manager, who's launched albums which have got billions and billions of streams. These are people who know what you need to know in order to get where you want to go. It's as simple as that. It's a sort of it's an incubator for your talent. You come in here, you go out there. That's how it works. So you can do. There's a number of opportunities here. You can do the postgraduate certificate, which is essentially the 3 core modules, 60 credits, as a standalone course just by itself. Or you can sign up for the whole MA. Which is 6 modules plus a final major project. But there's also ways of combining this with media production. So you can do an MFA which combines media composition and music production, or orchestration and music production. So it's all in the mix. And at the moment there are bursaries available for creative music production. So if you are you've got more talent than money, hands up all those with more talent than money, then get in touch.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Now, this is something Brad knows all about because he spent the last year of his life creating it. And that is our new offer for audio post-production. Okay, well, first of all, why are we doing audio post-production?
So audio post-production is a growing industry sector in terms of there's more access to making films, both indie and AAA. Teams are getting bigger, and you can do it remotely. Which is, and it has been consistently, a lot of the time, especially since 2020, a lot of people went remote and then people are phasing back in. But with post-production, there was a revelation of, this can be done anywhere. And they've really adopted that. So in terms of employment, it's one of the, the biggest areas. And there's so much stuff, because beyond just film and television, there's also like podcasts and still commercials and things like that. Corporate things all require audio post. And they're all up for grabs. And so because of that, because of the employment opportunities, we thought, let's really dig into it and talk to people. And I'm glad we did, because it's an amazing course, even if I did have a hand in making it myself, because it's fascinating. It's if you are in any way interested in audio beyond music and you're just interested in how films work and things like that from a sound perspective, it's going to be right up your street, because it's just a playground for sound. We've got some amazing people teaching as well. We've had access to, award-winning sound designers and sound supervisors and dialogue editors. It's just, I would go as far as to saying, even though I didn't do the course, it's my favourite Thinkspace course.
It's the newest, and again, it's very career focused. What we try and do is find something where you can take creative plus technical. Plus remote working equals career. And this is exactly up that street. So again, all of those of you with a music background and you're trying to work out how you can change your day job so that you can use your music to make a living. Obviously music is quite hard, but you can use the same creative and technical skills
completely
in audio post-production, where there is, there's no creative career which is easy. I mean, honestly.
A chance to be a fine.
I know. and you obviously know that. But there is more opportunity because it's a bigger industry and there's lots of production. And some of these skills, crop up on the skills shortage list in the UK every now and again. So it's not as though it's just a wash. In some areas there's lots of people and it's very competitive, and others not. So yes, I would. You will learn everything you need to know to be able to put your foot on the ladder of a career in audio post-production.
So we cover sort of like in-depth technical skills, like everything you need to know before you get started. So if you are coming from a place of complete inexperience, that's okay. If you've got any sort of sound experience, whether that's sound design or composition, or you're just interested and have some sort of portfolio, that's absolutely fine. You can get started. So we cover all of those technical things in the first module. And then module 2 is all about sound design for like real world. So Foley, which is all like cloth sounds and things. Sound design for spot effects like explosions and sort of realism. Module 3 is all about full mixing, and that's what makes up the PG cert, which is the 8-month part-time, which is the 3 core modules, and that's also what is involved in our MFA combinations. And then we have the back half of the course where things get a little bit more specific and really industry specific as well. We have a full module on dialogue editing and treatment, which includes things like ADR, which is where you can replace audio after the fact. And then also a sound design 2 module, which is all about things for the non-real, so spaceships, monster sounds, creature vocalizations, imaginary spaces and ambiences, all those sorts of things, and more of like a philosophical look on sound. And then obviously the final major project, which is the whole kit and caboodle for a short film, of which we have over 60 different options for you. So if you want to specialize in something that's, gritty and realistic and a drama, you can do that. If you want something that's animation and off the wall bonkers, you can do that. If you want, and anywhere in between those two things, you have the option to show us what you can do.
And all taught by Emmy nominees.
That's it, yeah.
Oscar winners, real...
Stuart McCowan, who we went and spent some time talking to, he's head of audio post for Audible, but he worked on the Jurassic World franchise, Castaway, What Lies Beneath, and the list goes on for him. Emma Butt, who was just nominated for an Emmy on Adolescence for ADR recording. Chad Aurora, who has worked on Netflix documentaries like Don't F With Cats, The Deepest Breath. Again, could name so many more, and he's in the course as well. And Nathan Robitaille, who worked on The Shape of Water for Guillermo del Toro. He actually was responsible for the sound of the Fishman in that. The sound of the water, So I think although we've got professionals for every single one of the courses, I think when it comes to this course, the experts we have here who are, the films you go to the cinema to see, a lot of the sound world that immerses you in it, it's all down to those people. Yeah.
So, and at the time of speaking, there are still special introductory fees available. So inquire if you want to know more.
Yes.
Right. Just dive into the MFAs a bit. The MFAs, which is almost like a double master's, it lasts 24 months full time. And you've got 36 or 48 months part-time options. And again, you can swap between one and the other. You can combine not any of our 2 masters, but media composition and orchestration, media composition and games composition, video games composition and orchestration, video games composition and sound design, etc., etc. So there's lots. With the audio post we've just been talking about, if you want more strings to your bow, and really, I cannot tell you how important this is. If you want to go out there and make a career, the more options you have available to you, the better. So if you are interested in working in media composition in whatever form, if you do the MFA so that you're able to do audio post-production as well, you become a one-stop shop.
Yep.
So for smaller projects, you can do the whole lot. And it gives you 2 possible income streams. So, if there's no music knocking about at the moment, there's probably some sound work you can get. So being able to combine these 2 things together, it's 2 subjects, but it makes you 4 times as employable. So that's why the MFA is it's a longer piece of work, obviously, it's 2 years, but it enriches you in ways which hopefully will lead to more career options as you go forward.
And if that list is in any way daunting or confusing and you're not sure which one you want to do remember that, as we said right at the beginning, you can always look at any of the other courses and upskill in your own time. It wouldn't be graded in the same way that the MFAs are, but you can always add more strings by just learning and looking at the other courses.
Right, let's talk about our amazing team of teaching staff. Over 90 of them worldwide. Some incredible people. As you can see, AAA video game composers and sound design, Emmy, BAFTA, Grammy, Brit, Mercury Prize winners and nominees, actually an Oscar winner as well on the sound design side. Really, really extraordinary people. couple of examples. Norman, who works with us on the orchestration side, orchestrator for Jurassic World, Star Trek Into Darkness, Inside Out. My friend Phil won a Grammy working with Kylie, but has done so much other stuff with other people. Emma, who we already mentioned, actually it was while she was working with us on this that she got her Emmy nomination for Adolescence. So an amazing sound designer. Peter, my friend Peter Bateman, who's currently working with Ben Wolfish. And he wrote quite a lot of the music for the Minecraft movie. He's an incredible orchestrator. He works with me all the time on when I'm working on a project where I need an orchestrator, he's my go-to. And these are the people sharing their knowledge with you. I mentioned Chris Rockall, the label manager, but Kevin, who's for example, who like me writes lots of animation music. He was working largely at DC on things like Batman and Spider-Man and Justice League. Well, Justice League and Batman. When
you were going to make a lot of people angry then.
When I was working largely on the Marvel side, and then he came in and did Spider-Man. John Everest, ASCAP and Grammy nominated. It goes on and on. Jo Quayle, who's also one of our team leaders, she's really carved out an interesting. She does sort of media composition, but she writes her own music, which she then which she releases on Spotify. But she also tours, all over the world. She's played in the Albert Hall, and so she's found a way of crafting a really great career out of writing music she enjoys.
Yeah, and she coaches a lot of students on our SMP course. In our experimental music module, which the students love, and especially with Joe's
creative
insights.
Music production. That's
I'm using initialisms on
exactly. That obviously we could fill pages and pages with the credits of our 90, but you get the gist. Yes. These real people with something really valuable, and they all why are they here? Because they want to share their knowledge, because they know what it feels like to be where you are, and they will be very honest with you about what it takes to get to the next stage in your career and what you need to do. Because the whole process of going through a course like this it's iterative. So it's not just doing one little project, getting one bit of feedback. It's constant repetition of that. That's what achieves the kind of, breakthrough step change in your ability. That will help you get to where you want.
Any creative skill requires rehearsal, even composition and doing things,
particularly,
and putting things together. It's not just playing stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's it is more important now than ever to be able to really develop your own creative voice, because the one thing artificial intelligence is not even close to being able to do is have an original idea, to be creative in of itself. It's great at pastiching things and smashing stuff together, but more and more, the more of that there is around, the more people are yearning for a really original, individual sounding people like you. So we double down on all the things which you're going to need in the future. How to, that originality, that creativity, we can help and nurture your creativity to a professional level. Communication, being able to actually talk to real people. Like this is a huge part of what any creative professional does, is communicate with their client and iterate and take notes and refine and things like that. All these are things which we're really doubling down on now, in particular, to help future-proof your career.
Yeah.
But before we go any further, why don't we hear from one or two of our teaching staff about why they do it, what they get out of it, all that kind of thing. Here they are.
Hi, everybody. I am Mike Worth. I'm a video game composer and a audio lead who works in the mobile game industry and now just started to work in the Steam video game industry. And at Thinkspace, I'm one of the tutors in the video game composition Masters of Arts. I also teach orchestration. I also teach cinematic scoring. And I'm one of the team leads, so that if you join Thinkspace graduate program, sometimes you'll be under my little umbrella where I take care of you guys and girls and make sure that you're all having a great experience at Thinkspace.
Hi, I'm Ella Walker. I am a musician. I'm a songwriter, producer, and independent artist. I have an artist project called Wilds, which I've been doing for nearly 10 years now. I've grown up in the music industry, have been signed by major labels, been signed by indie subdivisions. I've worked with publishers, and I've got a lot of experience in sync. And I kind of have brought all of that to Thinkspace with me. I'm a team leader and I am a tutor on the creative music production course. So I am here to talk and teach all about songwriting, sort of artistic and personal development, anything about nourishing your creative self, from setting goals, from learning how to record backing vocals that suit your vocal style, from vocal exercises, all the way to social media and the logistics of being an independent artist. So kind of live touring, how to network, how to send the right email. I kind of cover anything like commercial music industry and songwriting.
I'm Aaron Desi. I'm a film composer or composer for anything really that needs music, but it's mostly film. And I am a tutor at Thinkspace Education. I'm also a team leader, which means I keep an eye on a certain number of students and support them if they need supporting. So all of that. I mark assignments, I do webinars, and I do one-to-ones. What I really love about working with students at Thinkspace is watching people grow as artists. I think that is my favorite thing, seeing when they come in really feeling nervous about everything, unsure, and then gradually developing their voice over time and then coming out at the end. And then actually one of my favorite things is being a team leader, because I get the opportunity to get more involved with people, really get to know them. And we do challenges and all sorts of things. So you really start to find out what people are like. Some people have no idea what their voice is like. So it's more about discovering their voice and therefore encouraging them to try different things and to see what makes them feel excited, or what triggers ideas and that kind of thing. But in others, you can hear the beginnings of their voice or what they'd be good at. And so it's about helping them build on that. And sometimes you have to draw attention to it. You know, you'll say to somebody, you seem really good at this, or you've really got the ability to capture that. You know, this is how to work at it. It's a more, what about trying this? What about trying that? So I guess it's more about opening things up for people, giving them other ideas, and understanding where they could go. I think that's part of it.
So people sometimes ask, oh, you're a video game composer, you do sound design, and et cetera, et cetera. Why do you teach? What do you get out of Thinkspace? Well, at some point, it is really fun to be able to share knowledge that I have, experiences that I've had, and help that next generation of composers come up and bring that excitement of working in one of the fastest growing industries, and one of the most intellectually and creatively interesting and cool industries in the world. And if I get a chance to share with younger composers all the best practices, tips, techniques, strategies, creative approaches to work in this industry so that they can go out and have a really fulfilling career, to me, that's just giving back. It's great. And I love it. And it makes me better as a creative, because I have to be able to think about why I'm doing what I'm doing and help communicate it to younger composers. And the act of doing that, kind of doing well by doing good, it's just a win-win. And the Thinkspace ecosystem is really designed for the tutors to be able to give back, give to the students, and the students then to inspire the tutors. So it's a great ecosystem.
At Thinkspace, the main thing that I love about my job is watching all of our students grow. They start off maybe shy, maybe a bit kind of lacking in self-confidence, or just not completely aware of their skill. And I take a lot of pride in helping them develop that self-confidence and that self-awareness, so that by the time they finish their course, they are fully aware of their strengths, they're confident in them, and they've grown as people, because, you know, creativity and personal development, I think, are completely intertwined. And we need to kind of face up to who we are and what we're great at, and also what we're not so great at, to figure out how we want to grow, where we want to get to if we have certain goals. I think I'm quite good at helping students. I very much like to meet them on a level because we're all growing and changing all the time. I'm certainly not done with that by any means. But as someone that has had a lot of experience of creative development in my own career, I want to be the kind of person, mentor, tutor that they can come to ask those silly questions or those personal questions that will hopefully shed light upon who they are as an artist, as a producer, as a songwriter.
What makes Thinkspace special to me is, I think there's a few strands to that. One is the fact that there are students from all over the world. So you get you get input, especially in peer reviews and things like that. You get input from people with vastly different backgrounds and different lives and, you know, cultures, which often triggers really interesting conversations. Some cultures might hear certain types of music as positive and, you know, negative, and others might not have that same reaction to it. So it is very interesting. That's one strand. The other strand is more about the community, because it is a very warm and welcoming community from the top down. Even though there's loads of people you might not meet, it feels like there's always that connection, and it's like there's a door open if you want to go through it and be connected to all of these people. The more you're involved, obviously, the more connected you'll be. But I think it's the community thing and the sense that we're all in this together.
So every course and every degree program is going to talk about what makes them different, what makes them unique. You know, there's something called the unique selling proposition. And there's a couple of things that come to mind. One is the fact of you're getting regular one-to-ones. And I love how Guy talks about the idea of learn anywhere, learn everywhere, these kind of these mantras that show up. What that means is that you can be anywhere in the world and have access to industry professionals, people who are at the top of their game. You can have access to people like Kevin Manthe, who's in Los Angeles, who's one of the top animated TV composers out there. So you're getting real life experiences, real life knowledge and techniques from people who have been in the trenches. Fantastic value. And it's not just local, you know, like I'm in one city and Kevin's in another and Tim's in another and all that thing. The second one, and this has been implemented in the last couple of years, is there's been this fantastic course called the Employment Support Program. And it's a special 8-week course built by one of our alums who's now a pretty big game composer. His name is Michael Bowe. And it is specifically designed to get you after your degree through your first set of gigs, through your first set of contact development, through your first set of projects. So it covers social media, marketing, networking. It's one of the best things that we've put together, I think, for our graduates. As a matter of fact, I believe it's won several awards. So if I were to tell you why Thinkspace is great, the learning process throughout it is always being informed by some very experienced, very professional in the industry, composers, sound designers, and VO artists, et cetera, followed by an 8-week tactical course that gets you up and running out in the industry with exposure, with potential clients, with early stage gigs. So there's always this question as to whether you want to start with an MA or whether you start with an MFA. And they're both valid. And it really depends upon your situation. Sometimes there might be a person like one of our graduates who semi-retired at 45 after selling his software company. And he was like, I'm willing to pay the extra couple $1,000s to get the MFA. I just want that kind of extra additional training. What I will often say to composers coming in is look at the MA and see if it's ticking all the boxes that you need. Knowing that in Thinkspace, you have access to all of the courses. You just can't get feedback on the courses that are outside your major, except in certain contexts of peer review. So if you're comfortable with the coursework laid out in the MA that gives you everything you need, go for it. However, a surprising amount of people start at the MA and then go, you know what? I kind of want to learn more about this part. So they'll start off in game composition as an MA, and they'll come back to me, and I can think of 3 people off the top of my head this past year that were like, kind of want to add sound design, kind of want to add orchestration. I kind of want to be more well-rounded. So the MFA, what that does is it allows you to get a more, as I said, well-rounded or more complete set of skills that will give you more opportunities for work, increase your value to clients, and honestly make you feel more comfortable and more of a subject matter expert in the video game, music, and audio industry. So a lot of students come to open day and their interest gets a little piqued. They kind of are thinking, maybe I want to do for this. Maybe I want to go for this. So what I would recommend is there's a couple of email addresses that are always sent out at the end of open day. I think it's postgraduate@thinkspace.ac. But reach out to that and do two things. One is book a one-to-one, because the cornerstone of our training are these 30-minute individual one-to-ones with industry professionals. Book a free one-to-one. Try it out. See if you feel like you get a lot of value for that time. And the other thing is go and check out the testimonials of former students, because we have a really, really good set of students' testimonials that are very clear and direct about, hey, this is what I got out of it. This is why I liked what I got out of it. And that will help you to kind of see, hey, the outcomes of these students are outcomes that I would like to have in my path forward. Now, nothing is written in stone, but for example, there's one student of mine who, as she was finishing her FMP, went to a networking event, met a studio that she loved, had a great interaction with them, was very knowledgeable and very experienced with what their game was doing, and then got hired that week as a full-time sound designer. So those are the kind of success stories that we love. But I think getting that personal one-to-one with a tutor really oftentimes is what sells people as to like, yes, this is something I want to have over the next X years of my life.
If you're considering studying at Thinkspace, I would say go for it. Of course, I'm biased because I've been here for nearly 4 years, 3 years, 4 years, but I can speak for every single tutor that I know and have worked with, and even those that I haven't worked with, when I say that we really care about you. I think we are very different from any other educational organisation in not only how we do things, but the nature of all of our roles. We are all working in our respective industries. We have all experienced the downfalls ourselves, and we're here to stop you from repeating our mistakes. And I think that's very valuable. I think you'll get out what you put into it. You've got quite literally nothing to lose and everything to gain by studying. And I think it's quite wonderful, really, that you don't even know how brilliant you'll be once you've gotten through our courses. Whether that's in terms of your technical skill, your songwriting prowess, your social media skills and that kind of awareness, and also just your growth as a person. You'll meet so many people, tutors and students alike, and you have, lifelong skills from doing our courses. So I would say go for it.
Right, so those were some of the people, just some of the 90 odd people who will be teaching you on your course. Let's talk about studying online, because whilst a lot of you might have done some of our little short courses, a master's course is on a slightly different level. So let's have a little look at that. How you'll learn. One-to-one tutorials. These are some of the most popular parts of our course.
Some people would say the most valuable as well.
Yeah. So out of the 90 odd teaching staff, there's a subset of them, I don't know how many it is, several dozen, who are available to book one-to-one tuition with. And they will put their availability up in the calendar and you can just click on it and that's it.
Yep.
You doesn't have to be somebody who is teaching on your course. So you might have you want to know about animation, so you book in with Kevin Mantai, for example, and he'll spend half an hour explaining to you how it works or listening to your music and giving you feedback. It's... you look at it almost like a doctor's appointment. So you turn up and say, okay, and they say, okay, how can I help you? And you go, right, this is where I am and this is what I want to do. But you can also do it with other people on other courses. So you're on media composition, but you just, as time goes on, you're getting more and more interested in audio post.
Yeah.
You go and book in with Chad or somebody and he'll talk you through the differences and what you need to do in order to get where you want to go.
And in our virtual learning environment as well, every one of the tutors has a list of skills that they specialise in.
Yeah.
So you may also find that a tutor you had never considered actually knows quite a lot about something that you want to talk to a tutor about. Yeah. So we encourage you to look at everyone that's there, just in case you miss like a gem that you hadn't considered before and go, oh, that's a good... Exactly. Let's get a different, fresh perspective. Let's talk to them.
Exactly. Live workshops and webinars, we're running those every day of the week. Yeah. And again, you don't have to turn up to just your own courses. You can turn up to anybody else's. They're all recorded. They all go into this enormous library.
Fully searchable as well, with key terms and everything for past recording.
Exactly. You can, the live workshops and webinars are complementary to the course material. In other words, if you miss Thursday's webinar, it doesn't mean you can't do the project. But they are really popular, and all courses are supported all the time. Obviously, you get an enormous number of video tutorials. In total, we've got over 6,000 now in our library, plus a full course text. So for those of you familiar with our short courses, you'll know how our courses go together. So the degree courses work in a very similar way. But you'll spend the majority of your time actually on practical projects. So that might be writing music, doing sound design, doing implementation, whatever. And working on these real world projects, getting feedback. If you get stuck, you can book in for a one-to-one tutorial, get some help, move on, etc. We put all our students now into teams because when we first started and there were just 15 postgrads, we knew everything there was to know about all of them. Now we've got 300. We don't know all there is to know about all of them, and we don't want them to get lost in the crowd. So we divide them up into teams of 20 or 30 students who can bond and get to know each other, all led by one of the teaching staff as their team leader. And so the team leaders run drop-in sessions, so you can just turn up and say, this is what I want to know. Now, it is a master's program. This is not, you are not going to be spoon-fed. This is not, you're not going to turn up and, here's a list of what a menu, or, okay, this is what I do first, this is what I do next. We're teaching you to be independent, creative people. So following your own curiosity, developing research skills, independent, going away, playing games, watching television, drawing conclusions. There is a thinking side to this, which is almost as important as the creating side, because I've never met a stupid film director, and it's super important that you're able to communicate with your clients on the same level. Whether you're working in a game or animated TV show, whatever, you've got to understand it and why it works and how it works and how this one works differently to the other one.
It's about building like a frame of reference for your industry sector.
You need, so the intellectual skills you need of insight, being able to assimilate ideas, really, really important for your career. So this isn't just a box ticking exercise.
Also for fun as well, I might add. Because I think one of the things that I took away from my professional media composition course was how fun it is to watch a film and go, this is a great scene, I love this scene. Now let me watch it again and just listen to the score. Let me watch it again and just listen to the sound effects and really pick apart why you enjoy something. If you really like it, you should be able to tell someone exactly what's going on about every element of it. If you don't know that, then you haven't thought about it enough. And that's where the research stuff comes in, and how you can then pull that into when you're scoring your own scene or doing sound design for your own scenes. You can draw from those things and go, well, I know that I liked it when this happened instead of this, so I'm going to accentuate this element. And that's how it all plays in, whether it's for fun or whether it's for satisfying a client need.
Exactly. As George Lucas says, the sound is 50% of the movie-going experience.
There you go.
Right. Online workshops and webinars. We'll just run through a few of these. Carlos Rafael Rivera, I absolutely loved his score for Queen's Gambit. Anne Catherine Dern, many of you know, Metro Awakening. We've worked with her quite closely on some orchestration webinars and things like that recently. Alex Seaver of League of Legends fame. Roy Merchant, an incredible producer and mixer for The Wanted, MI, various others. This is the kind of stuff you're going to have going on all the time. For those of you who are working on our orchestration course, or one of the orchestration MFAs, you get plenty of opportunity to play with live players. Every time we have a live solo session, this is Martin Owen, Principal Horn with the BBC Symphony Orchestra, but we have top quality British session musicians come here, and what you'll get the opportunity to do, we'll say to you, write 1 minute of music for French horn, and you'll get a rehearsal, 2 or 3 performances, and then the player will give you feedback on your writing, because that's how I learned. I did a show called Eyewitness back in the 90s, and it was my first big show. It was a 13-part series, so I decided I was going to book a different musician for each day. And whilst I read my orchestration manual, I learned so much from working with these players, far more than I ever did anywhere else. And I thought, why can't I share that experience with you? Which is why we do the solo sessions.
That's how Thinkspace has started.
Yeah, exactly. And you're getting stuff, for your show reel with incredible people on.
Yep.
When you get to the end of your orchestration course, there's an opportunity to spend 30 minutes with a 50-piece professional orchestra.
Oh, it's an amazing experience.
I mean, it is a life-changing experience for some people. It's after the end of your course. In other words, it's not an assessed part of your course, because we didn't want to be in a position of watching somebody crash and burn and not be able to step in and say, "Oh, don't do that." We want you to have a real success. And what people come out with tends to be what we would suggest. We say, look, go in there with 3 1.5-minute pieces of music, and by the end of 30 minutes, you'll have it nailed. And so you've got the foundations of that plus the solo pieces. You've got the foundations for a really good reel.
Yeah.
But working with the live orchestra is...
it's second to none, really. That experience,
really
it's great.
And
it doesn't have to be your final major project either. It can be any... We recommend bespoke pieces written for it, but if you have something in your final project that you do want to use, you can use that as well.
Yep, absolutely. After you finish your course, you will be given an invitation to the Employment Support Programme. Yeah. It's something we introduced last year, and it's an 8-week boot camp where you get live events, course materials, all kinds of other things. And it's there to do several different things. It's there for training, to show you how do you go about networking? How do you go about networking in person versus online? How do you go about finding work opportunities? They'll pull apart your social media, pull apart your demo reels, pull apart your website. So you're getting the whole, your whole pitch is only going to be as strong as the weakest link.
Yep.
And this is all about polishing it up, making sure, getting real feedback, both from teaching staff, but also from fellow students on. But it's also about giving you a kick up the backside. It's motivation,
incentive,
and support as well, because it can feel very lonely when you're out there pitching all the time and nobody's replying to you and all that kind of thing.
When you get stuck in an echo chamber of just your own,
exactly.
own, like, oh, why isn't it working? You need someone from the outside to say, I know what clients are looking for. I know how you're going to get more visibility. This is what you need to do, because I've looked at it and gone, I wouldn't do that. I would go here, you need to do this. And it's all about just figuring out a nice pipeline for people to get the work eventually.
And we won an award. There it is, sitting on the piano behind us, for our employment support programme. Let's talk a bit about our students, because they come from all over the world. We've got 300 students at the moment. They're from so many different countries. There's probably way more than that we've got up there. But it's an online community of people who share the same passion. So whether they're from Australia or the Philippines or Norway or Slovenia, you're all here for the same reason. And it makes it a really great and supportive environment. For those students who get out the other end of the course and get out there and get work, there's just so many success stories. Sam Allen, who works with Justin Timberlake, Dr. Dre, Sugar Babes. Stephanie, full-time sound designer and composer at Gameloft. Federico, working on Emmy-winning and Oscar-nominated projects. Richard Armstrong is an amazing music editor. Mark Choi, who was on the orchestration course, actually. He's now very much a games composer, winning awards. Matt from up in Seattle won an Emmy and is doing all kinds of factual stuff. Curtis Heath is a machine, absolute machine. How that man? Is. He's got incredible music placements and amazing credits. Yeah. Fiona is doing great stuff. She's working lively in the world of library music with her music all over the shop. Matthias, Emmy and Jerry Goldsmith, award-winning TV composer from Germany. It goes on and on. Luna Pan won 7 awards. Johann Grillenbeck also won an award. There's we could be here all day.
We really could, actually.
It's obviously these are some of the highlights, but the whole ethos of Thinkspace and the whole ethos of the master's program is to help you succeed. And with so many people coming out the other end and doing well, I hope that gives you a little bit of confidence. We'll talk about the survey in a little bit actually, but yeah, I mean, these people are all doing great stuff. Maria, who is a force of nature, who's she's getting tons and tons of work. Matthew David Wheeler, he's doing great stuff. It's all really cool. There's a page on our website, Student Successes, where you can catch up with what they've been up to and what they're doing, because there's it just gives you a little bit of confidence that people who are coming out the other end are actually doing what you want to do. That's an important part of it. We should talk about the actual community, because one of the misconceptions about studying online is that you're sitting in your bedroom all by yourself and, old Johnny no mates type thing. Nothing could be further from the truth. We've already talked about things like the webinars and the team leader drop-ins, which is where people get together. But there's a really vibrant Discord community. Discord, how would you describe Discord to people who don't know it?
I'd say Discord is like having an online common room where there are different tables for different subjects. So you can drop into Discord and go into your specific channel about professional media composition, sound design, creative music production, and talk to other students who are on those courses. You could also drop into one that's just about, we can go into any others for any other courses as well. There's like a general chat in there. There's announcements for things going on. Sometimes there's competitions run in there, webinar chats as well. You can talk to tutors, and we're on there as well. But then there's also community groups like TTRPG channels for like people who play D&D. There's a place to share memes and cat pictures and pictures of other animals. There's different social topics as well, because just as much as learning with other people, it's important to get to know your fellow students as well. And when you all come from such disparate places all over the world, there's a unique perspective that everyone brings as well. And in terms of collaboration too, like everyone has different musical influences and tastes, and that
they play on each other's work. They're on each other's tracks. They
people who play different instruments as well.
Collaborate on each other's projects and all that kind of thing.
So it's a really good place to be.
There's occasional opportunities to meet up in person. We had an amazing student showcase at the famous, legendary Dublin Castle. There's a picture of it there. Loads of students came from all over the world, not just from the UK.
Did someone come from Australia? Or was it?
I think they were in town anyway.
Oh, okay.
They didn't come all the way from Australia.
I choose to believe they came for
their 20-minute set at the Dublin Castle. But yeah, exactly. But people know literally from all over the world. And so it is a very, very social kind of experience studying at Thinkspace. Right, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. If you're with us this far, then you probably are interested in things like, how all the rest of this works. So time commitments, first of all. A master's degree involves 6 modules and a final major project. The MFA, 9 modules and a final major project. Most modules take around 8 weeks to complete if you're studying full-time, and obviously 2 or 3 times that if you're on a part-time schedule. Now, during each module, you will have 2 official projects to do. One is a formative, and one is a summative. The summative one comes at the end of the project and contributes to your final overall grade. The formative one is there to help you get proper detailed feedback on something, which you can try stuff out, because it doesn't count towards your final grade, but in every other respect, the project is the same as a summative project. So if there's if you're looking at a whole range of projects and one seems a bit kind of edge case for you, and because we're going to encourage you to step outside your comfort zone and do stuff which is difficult and dangerous, because you might crash and burn, but it might turn out to be your next biggest thing.
You will still learn something.
Yeah, absolutely. So do that for your formative and save the safe bet for your summative. So that's the way summatives and formatives work. The final major project, for example, for professional media composition, you'll be expected to write 30 minutes of music, most of which will probably be to picture, with a commentary. Every time you submit an assignment, you will also submit some form of commentary, because, as we said before about the whole research and context being so important, and being able to talk to your clients on the same level, just being able to produce a piece of music is great, but we need to know why you produced that piece
Yeah.
of music, what the thinking was, how you came to that conclusion.
Self-reflection is just as important.
Yeah, so that, because you might have produced a piece of music which just missed the mark, but it's very clear from the commentary you submit that you were on the right lines, it just came out wrong. But sometimes it's the other way around. So the commentary, every time you submit a piece of music or sound design, you will be submitting a short commentary as well, so that the tutor who sits down and marks it will understand where you're coming from. That's the idea. The schedules, a master's degree is 12 months full-time or 2 or 3 years part-time. Postgrad certificate is 8 months part-time, and the MFAs are 24 months or 3 or 4 years part-time. We have start dates in January, May and September. So every 4 months there's an opportunity to start. Now, how long is a piece of string? A lot of people want to know, how many hours a week am I going to do this? It's very, very difficult to say, because different people work at different rates. Different people want to work at different rates.
People at different levels as well, different places in their lives.
And some people, will want to slow down their course so they can really enjoy all the many and various opportunities there are and others will just want to sort of get from A to B. So we're saying, look, full-time is roughly 30 hours a week. And part-time can be anything between 8 and 15 hours a week. Yeah. So, it is a significant commitment. You can change your schedule each term. So if you start full-time and it's too much, you can go to part-time. And you can also pause your course, take intermission. So some people will, for example, they'll step off the course for the summer term so they can spend more time with their family and then come back in the autumn and things like that. So you can do that as well.
It's worth saying as well, the 30 hours as well, that encompasses everything to do with the course. So that's reading and absorbing all of the materials and making notes on the videos. That's one-to-one sessions, that's webinars, that's writing your assignments, that's everything that might be going on within that week that you have access to from your course, not just reading, but it also involves all of your creative work.
Yeah, I mean, the majority of that is probably you writing music or doing sound design. So
when you put it like that, it's not quite so bad.
Exactly, absolutely, quite, exactly right. Okay, this is how the modules are organised in a whole range of different ways. That's set up in trimester 1. That's quite a common way of doing it. So you'd have module 1 would then be followed by module 2, but alongside these two you've got module 3, which is going along in the background. So you might well have 2 modules going at the same time. Another way is sometimes we will have all 3 modules will last the whole term, but you may well have different hand-in dates towards the end. So you can therefore organise your own work across the 3 modules you're doing. And obviously the final major project is essentially one trimester of work, 3 months full-time. So that's all you'll be doing as you go through that project. Let's talk about money. So obviously postgraduate education is a significant investment. Some of the other alternative providers you may have seen, Berkeley Online, currently their online masters is almost $37,000. National Film and Television School here in the UK for UK students, it's a 2-year course, is just under £30,000. If you come from outside the UK, it's £52,000. European Film Scoring School, €37,000. So our MAs are £12,160 or £940 with the orchestral session, and the MFA £17,400 or £18,100 with the orchestral session. Postgrad certificate is just over £4,000. Now those are the total fees for the whole course. So you're going to get invoiced in by term as you go through the thing. There is an inflation-linked increase on the outstanding balance after 1 year. But there are also, actually at the moment, there are bursaries available for various courses. So, as I say, more talent than money, get in touch. The way in which we try and a lot of people are worried about money at the moment. We get that completely. When you sign up for the course, you're not committing yourself to pay for the whole thing right through to the end. What you're committing yourself to is essentially the equivalent of 1 term full-time. So that's a block of 60 credits. So if you're working full-time, once you're 2 weeks into the course, you are committed to paying for that term.
Yeah.
But if for whatever reason your circumstances change and you can't continue, you're not going to get invoiced for the whole course. It's just that block of. So if you're on a part-time schedule, it's still a block of 60 credits, so it'll last more than one semester. But what we're trying to do is to make your course and the financial commitment as clear and reasonable as possible.
Yeah.
So we don't want you to. You're not going to be in, committing to the whole thing, but as you go through the course, obviously, then you pay as you go. Okay. There's a lot of flexibility. So when you slow down your studying schedule, you're also slowing down the payments.
Yes,
another thing, and you can pause your course at various points as well. When you the way we you'll get invoiced at the beginning of each term. We use a system called Flywire, which is really good, and it allows you to pay your fees anywhere you like in your own currency, and it ensures that the right amount of money arrives with us here.
And they use lots of different payment methods. They basically, you pay them and they pay us. And they support lots of different ways of taking money, including bank transfer, credit cards, Venmo, PayPal, to name a few, but you can see some of them on there as well.
Yeah. So you get invoiced on the first day of term, and then you get the rest of the term to pay it off.
Yep.
You've got to pay it off by the end of term, otherwise your course gets paused. But you can therefore break it down into 3 interest-free payments each term. Yeah. So you can essentially organise the money so that you're paying it out monthly as you go.
So it's a payment per semester, and then you can do 3 per each of those.
Yeah. The only people for whom that is not an option is if you're lucky enough to be in receipt of a UK postgraduate loan.
Yes.
When the government will give you money at the beginning of each term, and then you need to give it to us.
Yeah, but this whole thing is less of an issue for those people.
Yeah, exactly. So then you get 30 days to, after they give you the money, you need to give it to us.
Yep.
Okay. Student loans.
Speaking of,
you can currently borrow up to £12,858 if you're a resident in England, £19,255 in Wales, £6,500 in Northern Ireland, and £7,000 in Scotland. Why is it so different? Who knew? Anyway, to qualify in the UK, you need to be under 60 years of age when you start your course, no previous master's degree, and you can either be on a full-time schedule or a 50% half-time schedule. Yeah. In other words, the only schedule of ours which you can't go on to is the 3-year version of the MA. The money is paid straight to you, the student, so you can use it for both paying your fees and for gear and things like that. And it's paid to you by the student loans company 3 times a year.
Yep.
Simple as that.
Nice.
All good. Graduation rate. I mean, it's... how many people actually leave with a qualification? The benchmark the Office for Students set is 65%. Britain's biggest online university, the Open University, roughly 20% of their students who start graduate. For us, it's around 85%. The number goes up and down, but we do everything, and this is a reflection on the flexibility of the course more than anything else, I think.
When you think about the number of students we've had in the last 10 years and the number of students you have in the last 10 years, the fact that ours is 85% is staggering.
It is. I mean, there's things we can't do anything about. Yeah. Life happens and everything else.
It does,
But even if you're leaving after one term, you're still leaving with a qualification because you still get postgraduate certificate.
And you're leaving with those credits which you can then come back and use at a later date if you want to finish off and top up into a master's degree.
We just run our 2025 student satisfaction survey. 85% students rate their degree as good or excellent. 92% absolutely love the one-to-one sessions.
Unsurprising.
Indeed. 90% rate the standard of teaching as good or excellent. And almost 80% there say their degree has helped improve their career prospects. So that's, pretty strong endorsement of the courses. The employment survey, which we also did quite recently, 70% of our graduates have found work in their chosen field. Now, given how competitive the industries we serve are, that's astounding.
I love that number.
96% of the work they found was paid.
Even better.
So it's not like they're going out there and doing work for free. I mean, they're getting paid for it. Over half of our students make the majority of their living from music or sound design. which is really, really good. Because, one of the things I've said to students all the time is, the idea of being a full-time sound designer and composer is great, but it's not the reality for a lot of people. And many people are more comfortable working with a kind of hybrid life where they have 3 days a week working as an IT consultant.
Yeah, subsidising
2 days a week working as a composer. So, the two work in tandem. One is more satisfying and one is better paid. And, but that works really well because then you've got a bit of security, you've got different, income streams, but you're still living your best creative life and becoming as good as you can be. So there's a lot to answer here. There's lots of questions, aren't there? Yeah, I can feel them all buzzing around out there. And if this has pricked your interest at all, what I would say is the next thing you need to do is get in touch with us and book in for a one-to-one session with either Ed or Jenny, both of whom have conversations with potential students all the time.
And are both graduates as well.
And are both graduates of the programme. So they really know what it is like to be where you are. And they'll listen to your music and tell you, or your sound design or whatever, and tell you where in the great scheme of things you are. Because not everybody's ready to come straight onto the programme. Yeah. One of the reasons we have such a high graduation rate is that we make sure people are ready before they start. So we're not just going to say, hey, come on, anybody. Otherwise, people would just crash out all the time. Yeah. So book in with us. All the details are on the screen now. Book in for a one-to-one. Come and say hello. Nobody bites. If you've got questions, you can drop us an email. That's absolutely fine. And, we sincerely hope that you will give this serious consideration because, in the great scheme of things, the opportunity to be the best creative person you can be is something, you can't put a price on that.
I agree.
And more than ever before now, it's important to really, really work on maximising your individual creativity. Because I said before, original ideas there's going to be this sea change where, artificial intelligence will deal with quite a lot of ordinary, boring stuff, but really, original creative thinking is something which needs to be nurtured because that's something which only you can do. Yeah. And to be distinctive and to stand out from the crowd, just like Brad is.
I do my best. Well, it's mostly the t-shirt doing the heavy lifting for me. But one of the things I learned about I value my time as an undergraduate and my education. But it was more about culture than it was about the education. I don't feel that I learned a lot that actually served my professional endeavours. Working on the professional media composition course and getting a couple of pieces of feedback from people who really know what they're talking about immediately changed the game for me. And the research element as well is something that opened my eyes to really looking in introspection and being, well, why am I doing these things? Why would I do this stuff? I need to go and see what other people are doing to make sure that my processes are correct, or I feel like that's the right choice for this thing. And that's where the master's course is where I see the invaluableness of it, is in that not only can you learn more about yourself by doing it, but immersing yourself in the community with other people doing the same thing brings extra value to that, because then everyone can bounce ideas off other people and you're getting so many different perspectives from your fellow students and all the tutors here as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Look, thank you very much for hanging in there till the end. You're still here.
Well done.
Okay, well done. Look, we'll be back to normal for the next video on the channel. More silliness and scoring and all the rest of it. Yeah. But thank you very much indeed for your company. Do get in touch and we look forward to seeing you very soon. From Brad and me, bye-bye.
See you soon.